So this is a property I have previously been to. I was looking at dampness mainly on the upstairs, and I wasn't particularly addressing the dampness that's been discovered here. But I was asked to go back. Most of the damp issues have been solved. The damp issues had effectively been solved. The previous damp was mainly rising damp-like symptoms caused by condensation, and there were signs of mould and lots of vapour issues, and they were solved primarily during the survey, and then with ventilation and monitoring and dehumidification solved afterwards. There was some dampness on an internal wall. This is lower ground floor. There is a cavity membrane along the wall that is the internal wall. The other side of this was subfloor void, so that's like a cellar area, but without standing room. And this was below ground level. It was away from the perimeter of the property, so it was right in the centre of the property, but the moisture was still inevitably damp and cold. Hear what I say during the survey. You can either go for this corrugated membrane system. It's relatively expensive to get people in to do it, and then the idea is that it drips, any water drips down underneath, and it will either you either have a drainage system and a sump pump. Well, that's the standard way of doing it.
Yeah.
So the second way, and you then don't need to worry about this wall or actually doing anything particularly to it, is to use thermal insulating plasterboard. But just like with the membrane, there are risks involved because you've got an impermeable barrier. The benefit of it is you get the insulation.
Yep. Okay.
So in the joining section, whereas with the plastic it will go around the 90-degree corner, with the thermal insulating plasterboard, you want to cut it like you would cut a picture frame, so that it's 45 degrees into the corner, and have it arrange it so that it has a rubber seal all the way on the inside, so you're not getting vapour in. Then I would have it slightly away from the base of the wall, so that any vapour, any moisture just naturally comes out. Are you going to put down a carpet or
I'll probably just tile it.
Tile it. Well, that's then easier. And then you just you can put a MDF skirting board, which will allow the vapour to flow out. But you may, if it gets really wet, you may have to replace the MDF. But it's not particularly expensive. It's quite an easy thing to do. So that's what I would do. Or you can put down plastic skirting board, which obviously is not vulnerable to moisture. This area here, you want to put the insulation around here as well. So that this is the moment. I guess it's timber or something.
I was going to ask the builder to knock in a little bit so that we have
greater space there. But this could be I can't speak structurally, but I imagine this is a structural wall. So you may not have that ability. Just like cutting a bit there?
I say similar to this, where
if it's structural, you probably need to get structural engineers.
No, so that's fine. But I suppose if we did that, then we'd be still having to do the same thing where with the membrane or the insulation, and then whatever drainage as well. I mean, I guess that's the reason. That's where I probably would be asking, because we will be asking for if it's possible to do some storage.
Some additional storage in behind.
Or to just cut.
Well, so I'm obviously not a structural engineer. But
Look. Plasterboard here. All the plaster
behind
has buckled quite a bit.
Yes, well it would do because it's
and there was a lot of moisture that I could sense in the air when they were removing the plaster.
and this is now drying it out.
Yeah.
But the solution, well, there's another solution, and that is to use plasterboard, dry lime, essentially.
Yeah.
And that will allow more vapor to breathe, and you're essentially hiding it. But
So it was done that way before.
no, because you had, well, yes, but
It had
you
that,
had,
and
you
then the
had,
plasterboard was in
I
front
know,
of it.
but you still had this,
Oh, okay. I see.
so it's
I
still
see.
sweating behind. Whereas with the
I see.
plasterboard, it allows the vapor to come through.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, do you leave the dehumidifier running?
Yes, I do.
Good. And dripping into the bath or,
Yeah.
or shower or something.
Yeah.
So in summary, I don't advocate changing past damp proofing treatment because I don't know what was behind it, what was the initial reason for the damp proofing treatment. But given that this cavity membrane has been replaced, you want to either go back to the cavity membrane, but that's an expensive option. Put in thermal insulating plasterboard with rubber seals to make sure that it's sealed. This will have all the negative sides of cavity membrane, which is where it can push the moisture and vapor in different directions to the perimeter of the barrier. And possibly the best solution is to use dry lining. That's effectively putting plasterboard and battens. The only thing you have to be aware of is the battens need to be tannalized, so reduce the risk of rot. Or the other alternative is just to leave the wall in its original naked state. It will be colder there, but not as cold as an external wall will be. The other thing you have to remember is if you're cutting into this, obviously you need to get a structural engineer to check it, but you're going to be changing the dynamics. You're probably going to be reducing or removing the ground from the other side, and this would allow you to reduce the amount of dampness coming in. So again, dry lining is probably the way I would personally go on it, but I can't. I wouldn't have recommended getting rid of the cavity membrane in the first place, but the downside of cavity membrane is the sweating you get at the top, around the sides, and at the bottom. And at the bottom, obviously, you need some form of drainage.